So welcome to our Get Connected Funding Technical Assistance call. The purpose of this call is to give you more information about the Get Connected funding opportunity and to really answer any questions that you may have about this opportunity. So the purpose of this funding is to support the development of volunteer resources in underserved regions of Ohio. So you should see on your screen, I just pulled up the Serve Ohio website, and I'm going to go to our funding page and just kind of walk us through the different elements of funding. As we go through, please feel free to unmute yourself on the audio line and ask questions over audio, or if you would prefer, you can certainly type a question or comment in the chat box, and I will be happy to address it that way as well. Again, this is really for your benefit to ask questions and to get clarification of exactly what this funding is hoping to produce. So this funding is up to $25,000, which will be awarded to organizations who will develop or launch a local volunteer engagement portal using the Galaxy Digital platform. As you may know, Serve Ohio back in the summer launched a statewide volunteer portal called Get Connected. And this statewide portal aims to highlight volunteer engagement and volunteer resources in local communities across the state of Ohio. I'll pull up the website here in just a few minutes and kind of walk you through what Serve Ohio's website looks like. But our goal here is to make sure that there are volunteer engagement resources in communities across the state. And when I talk about volunteer resources, I mean the establishment of a volunteer center, which is in this case, an online platform that will allow small and grassroots nonprofit and community and faith-based organizations to be able to manage volunteers, which this Get Connected portal does, but also a hub where volunteers who are looking to give back but maybe don't have the knowledge of what community resources exist, a platform that will allow volunteers to sign up for and engage in volunteer opportunities in their local community. So Serve Ohio's statewide volunteer portal really is not meant to engage volunteers directly. What we want to do is to funnel potential volunteers to local areas where they can actually volunteer. So again, I'll pull up our website here in just a minute, but that's kind of an overview of what we're trying to achieve. We want to fill gaps where there are not currently volunteer resources to fund organizations to provide those resources across the state. So again, ask questions if that's unclear. So all projects that are looking to do this work will need to use the Galaxy Digital platform. Galaxy Digital is a pretty state-of-the-art volunteer engagement platform that allows nonprofits to post directly onto the platform and allows agencies to create their own volunteer opportunities and for volunteers to be able to sign up for volunteer opportunities as well. So this funding only supports use of Galaxy Digital. And the reason for that is because we at the state level are using the Galaxy Digital platform. And by having other hubs across the state using the same platform, those volunteer opportunities can feed directly up to the statewide volunteer platform, thus having a seamless transition from someone who might find the statewide Get Connected platform, but then they find a volunteer opportunity in, say, Seneca County, and they can then be redirected to your website very seamlessly. So that's our goal, and that's why we're requiring the use of one single platform. The cost of Galaxy Digital will be added on top of the funding request. So let's say you apply for the full $25,000.
I'm doing an appointment for 10:30 today, and I just realized I have to be on a call until 11. So if I could cancel that or move it back,
Oh,
that would be
okay.
great.
I think somebody has their audio line not muted, and we can hear your conversation. So please just go ahead and keep your audio lines muted if you can. Thank you. So if you request the full 25,000, the cost for the Galaxy Digital license will be added on top of that. So for instance, a year of Galaxy Digital costs roughly $5,000. So if you put in a grant request, I'm sorry, it's not a grant. These are contracts. This is not a grant. But if you put in a funding request for $25,000 and you're approved, we'll give you a contract for $30,000, and $5,000 of that will be able to be used for the yearly subscription, the first year subscription for the Galaxy Digital license. So that will be on top. The 25,000 can be used, we think probably mostly would be used for staffing, but it can be used in a variety of ways, which you will outline in your proposal form. Preference will be given to areas of the state that do not currently have volunteer administrator resources. So again, here in just a second, I will pull up a map of where volunteer centers exist. But we will give preference to areas of the state, rural communities, and areas of the state that currently don't have a volunteer center there. Question from Caroline, is this funding only for 1 year only? Yes. So this funding would be $25,000 to really get this up and off the ground. And then again, would include the cost for the license for year one. And then you would be responsible for maintaining the site moving forward. Great. Okay. So the project period is December 14th of this year until December 31st of next year. So our goal is to get money out the door, and you'll see as we get further down this page, it will be an upfront payment of about 60% of the entire contract. Because we know that if you're launching something, you need to, allocate staff time and allocate additional resources. So, 60% will be out the door, and we plan to turn that around very quickly. A couple of questions. How many centers are you potentially able to fund across the state? Great question. We're looking at 3 to 4 at the $25,000 level, but requests can come in at under that. And so we'll just kind of see with the available funding that we have, how many organizations that we can support. But at the $25,000 level, we're looking at 3 to 4 across the state. Do you have to pay the $5,000 each year, or is that a one-time cost? Melissa, that is an annual subscription. So, so this will cover the year one, and you'll have to think about how you would maintain that cost moving forward on an annual basis. Michelle asks, there are several volunteer portals in this area through United Way, Just Serve Point, Cincinnati Cares, etc. Would this funding therefore not be available here? Michelle, yeah, so we actually currently have a data agreement in place with the United Way of Butler County, and they actually feed their volunteer opportunities up to the our Galaxy Digital site at Get Connected. So probably, to be honest with you, we wouldn't fund an organization to duplicate services in a given county. Okay, great. And Melanie states that Galaxy Digital annual costs are based on your organization's budget, so it could be less for you. Yes, that's absolutely right. So, we kind of say it's roughly $5,000 per year, but that's something that you would work with Galaxy Digital on to determine the cost. Though I will say, the Galaxy Digital is planning to give some breaks to organizations who come to them through this particular grant opportunity. And I'm sorry, it's a habit for me to say grant, and I just want to reiterate, it is not actually a grant. This is actually going to be a contract. Okay, so we've outlined some specific. Oh, go ahead.
Sorry, I had to call in. About the yearly subscription, so that's for each site that gets this contract, and then do you on the state, or I'm assuming it's you, someone on the statewide level also have a yearly subscription? So there's like multiple subscriptions to the platform going on at the same time?
Yeah, I appreciate that question, and thanks for the opportunity to clarify. Yeah, so Serve Ohio, we have a statewide subscription to Galaxy Digital that we own and we manage and we maintain. We are looking for organizations to have their own subscription that they own, that they maintain, that we wouldn't have anything really, we wouldn't have capabilities to manipulate anything. It would be your own site, your own data, your own information. And what we would require would be just a data sharing agreement, in that the volunteer opportunities that you maintain on your local site then will just kind of feed up to the statewide portal. So the end result is that you have your own site that you have complete control over, but that we just share volunteer opportunities up to the statewide level. And the way that that works is, if somebody came to our site and did a search for a volunteer opportunity that would perhaps be on a local site, then when they click on that opportunity, it automatically redirects them to your local site. So they're your volunteer, they come to you, they sign up for volunteer opportunities on that local site, but it's just a way, really it's a way for us to promote volunteering statewide. Go to, get connected to find a volunteer opportunity, and then of course, then they will be redirected to the local level. Vicki had a question. I'm sorry, I didn't hear you. Did you say there probably would be no granting for an application from an organization in Hamilton County? Vicki, probably not. Again, we have a data sharing agreement in Butler County with the United Way in Butler County that feeds those volunteer opportunities up to the state level. So to be just completely honest with you, funding will be more competitive in areas that do not currently have any coverage. Jennifer asks, I know an organization whose contract with Galaxy Digital is just under $3,000. There is variation in cost if that helps somebody who is discouraged by the high price tag. Great, thank you for that additional information, Jen. Okay, great questions and great information being shared. I appreciate that. So you'll see, you can kind of look through on this page the different phases, and for us, we just wanted to be very clear about what type of work will go into the development of these resources. So you can look and see what we kind of expect in the different phases. There's two phases. The first phase is really the bulk of the work in purchasing the license, onboarding partner nonprofit organizations, developing a strategy to rolling this out in your local community, and so on and so forth. And we expect that phase to kind of go from winter, spring, up to the summer. And then reporting is tied to those two phases. So it will require 2 reports, pretty basic, just saying what'd you do, where does your site stand, so on and so forth. And so those are due in July and then in January of 2022. And then the payments will be on the same schedule. So as I mentioned earlier, we plan to do an upfront payment at the signing of the contract of 60% of the entire contract. So again, if your request comes in at $25,000, we're probably going to give you a contract for $30,000, assuming that that $5,000 will be used for your Galaxy Digital license. So then we will give you an upfront payment of 60% of that. And then 20% will be paid out at the completion of phase 1. So that will be paid out probably by July 1 after we receive your report. And then the final 20% will be paid at the completion of phase 2, which will be in January of 2022. So then you can see there's the project timeline there with all of the dates kind of spelled out for you. So the application process is pretty simple. So there is an application that you can download from the website, and there's a few questions. You don't have to. I'll pull it up actually here. You don't have to write a book. We're not looking for length. There's no bonus points for length. Really, it's just questions that are really important to ask so that we can make sure that this is something that your organization is committed to in the long term, and really not just something that you'll do for this year to kind of get the funding. Our goal for this funding is really to make sure that this is something that can be sustainable. So this is the application here. And, we just want to know, who you are, what's your staffing structure, and who's going to take the lead in this project. Why is community engagement important for your organization? How are you going to partner with other nonprofits and community and faith-based organizations in your area to have a robust offering of volunteer opportunities? How many other agencies do you anticipate using the platform? So these would be partners that you would work with, partner nonprofits, or again, community or faith-based organizations who will post volunteer opportunities on your site so that there's a robust offering of opportunities for the community. Advertising, how are you going to get volunteers to actually use the system? And then again, what's your plan to maintain the site and the staffing after the funding ends on December 31st? And there's a very, very generic budget here. Again, we expect staffing to be part of this request, but you can add additional, categories here as are appropriate for your needs. So that's the application. So before I pull up our statewide Get Connected site to just kind of show you that a little bit, are there any additional questions about the actual funding? Okay, great. So this is our local Get Connected site. I'm sorry, it's not a local, it's a statewide Get Connected site. And again, our goal is to highlight things going on at the local level. So this ribbon here, this red ribbon says Find Your Local Volunteer Center. This is a listing of volunteer centers across the state that are managing volunteers. Now, I will say that these sites do not currently use the Galaxy Digital platform. So we say, find opportunities in your local community, and if you live in one of these counties, go here, and we're sending them away from this site because they don't currently use Galaxy Digital. The goal would be for all of these folks to use Galaxy Digital, and I know that there's at least one or a few of you who might be part of these organizations who are looking at making the switch, and that is something that we would consider to some funding for dollars to make the switch from the platform that you're currently using if you wanted to make the switch to Galaxy Digital. So if we go back here for a second and we click on this list, this is the list of all of the organizations in the state that we know of. There could be other hidden gems, but these are the organizations across the state that we know are currently volunteer hubs, and these include organizations that are feeding their volunteer opportunities up to the state level. So, Butler County United Way uses Galaxy Digital, and their information feeds up. United Way of Clark, Champaign, and Madison counties, that information feeds up. They're using Galaxy Digital. Get Connected Lake and Geauga, I know Jen's on the call, that information feeds up. For organizations who might want to expand their reach, so Get Connected Lake and Geauga, if you were looking to expand your reach to additional counties, that's something that we would consider for funding here as well, because our main goal is to expand the footprint of the volunteer centers across the state. So the more counties served and the greater the regions served is really meeting the mark for us. So this is a good guide to go to this page on our Get Connected site. I'll copy and paste this direct link into the chat box for you if you wanted to go there and peruse. But this is a good guide to see what resources exist. And, if you live in a county that is not currently on this list, or even if you do, I'd be happy to have a conversation with you, and we'd be happy to receive something from you if you are interested. So the other thing I'll pull up here just quickly is a map that I put together of where these volunteer centers are in the state. So you'll see that there is a huge area here in kind of the southeast-ish area of the state that is not served, that we really would love to see some applications from here. Up here in the Northwest Ohio area is a big gap. And certainly here in kind of the West Central area, there is not a lot of resources there as well. So, this map, it's just kind of really, really quick, but it's a good visualization of what we see as the gaps in the state and where we are trying to get additional resources. And then the other thing that I will pull up here is the Galaxy Digital site. So Galaxy Digital is its own company, and again, we're promoting this particular company because that's what we're using, and we want to have a seamless transition. So if you're interested in moving forward with applying for funds, I would encourage you to go to this site and ask them for a free demo to see the functionality and if it will work for you. They're really great to work with. They have great customer service. But I do think it's important to kind of check out the volunteer management software and make sure it's something that you can live with and that you are interested in using, because it is mandatory for this funding. So again, I'll copy and paste that into the chat in case you all want to go there and bookmark the page. So that's all I have for you today, unless you have specific questions that I am very happy to answer, or if you want me to go into any more depth on our Get Connected site here, I'm happy to do some additional showing you of our site as well. So I will pause there, and please let me know if you have questions. Yes, Melanie, please ask a question on the audio line if you have one.
Thank you so much. It was just going to be a lot to type.
Yeah.
I'm in a unique situation. I come from a volunteer center background in Tennessee and am now in the Toledo area, and had actually started conversations with Galaxy Digital about starting my own volunteer center here in Toledo. And then Oliver from their staff passed this information along to me yesterday. So I'm just curious if this funding, you see it only being for established organizations, or if you would be open to, before I go through the process of it being part of like a startup for a nonprofit.
Yeah, we would be open to it being a startup nonprofit. You would need to be a nonprofit organization and be a 501c3 organization in order to be eligible for the funding. So are you currently incorporated?
No, not yet. So I just started this process like a month ago, and Oliver shared this yesterday. So I totally get if the timing does not line up, but certainly wanted to explore the option if it were. I have no idea how long the 501c3 process takes.
Got it. Yeah. So unfortunately, yeah, you would need to be an established nonprofit in order. But I think there could be opportunities to partner with an organization that has a 501c3 that might be willing to kind of be a fiscal agent for you, or something of that nature. So there are different ways that you can get around that if this is something that really is going to drive your organization forward and create a need, fill a need in Toledo, which there is a need in Toledo. That is certainly an area that we are hoping to get some resources to. So, I would suggest if you wanted to move forward with this to find a partner.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm. Any other questions or comments? Okay, this is very exciting. Our United Way in the Mahoning Valley has also already seen a great need for this and is moving forward with Get Connected. Can we reach out for a conversation? Yes, Youngstown in the Mahoning area is certainly an area that does not have resources, and we would love to have a further conversation. So yeah, I'm going to put my email address in here. You should have it already. I sent you guys an email about this call, but there's my email, and feel free to share that with anybody within any of your organizations, and I'd be happy to have one-on-one conversations and do some troubleshooting. Could you please post the tasks of the funding again? Yes, let me go back there. There you go, Pat. Okay, any additional questions that I can answer for you at this time? Okay, hearing none, okay, great. Hearing none, I will go ahead and close out the call. But again, if you have any questions or want any feedback, you can definitely feel free to reach out to me via email. I do see one additional question. Could you go over the timeline for the grant application? Oh, sure. Yeah, so the grant application is due by December the 4th, which is a Friday, 2 weeks from today, I believe. And I know it's a tight timeline. Our goal is to get funds out the door by the end of the year. So that is why it's such a tight timeline here. We plan to turn these around very quickly. So we have here that notifications will go out a week later by December the 11th, but our hope is to get them out earlier than that in the week. And again, at signing of the contract, then we will get funds out the door to you by the end of the year. So the application is due December 4th, and you'll know within a week whether you were approved for funding or not. Okay, great. I'm going to go ahead and drop this link in the chat box as well, so that you can go directly to this page for additional resources. But again, reach out if you have questions. Happy to help. And I hope everybody has a great weekend and a great holiday. So thank you for all you do. We appreciate you, and reach out if you have questions. Thanks, everyone.